That's what he says. I don't know what that means. Kwese, I don't know what really means. But what's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. My name is Lily Aisha, of course, and I'm with the big man himself.
DJ Festa on the ones and twos.
And the lovely
Dr. Catherine.
Yes. Today, the topic has been intense. Munaskia. Listen to yourselves. But there's a question that we're going to address a bit later. But, okay, there we go. Okay, it's okay, it's okay. We'll address it now. All right, this is Labat Moore. This is from Facebook. And they say, Mo, kutoka Dando, how can I overcome drugs addiction? I've tried for years, but I find myself, I guess I'm just saying, indulging or overindulging. Because, I mean, I always say too much of something is what becomes poisonous. But how would you advise more here?
Yes, when we are talking of drug addiction or being dependent on a drug, he didn't specify which one,
drug, yeah.
But we know there are various forms of drugs, right from cannabis, right what we call banky, right from
Shash, we call it
prescription drugs,
shash.
weed,
Weed,
yes,
shash.
yes,
Mavela.
all those names, and even prescription drugs.
Yes.
There are people who go over the counter, they buy Benylin, codeine.
Yes, codeine.
People are abusing painkillers, alcohol, of course the hard drugs. And once you get dependent on it, when you discover that if I don't take weed, for example, or if I don't inject heroin, or if I don't take cocaine or smoke cocaine or any other alcohol, if I don't take alcohol, you get withdrawal. So there are various types of withdrawals. Like if you look at heroin, we have a methadone clinic in Madari Hospital, and for people who have problems with the heroin addiction, they get treatment there. So once you've reached the stage of dependency or addiction, then you need help, you need treatment. Because you need, if it's alcohol, you need to go through detoxification, where you stop the alcohol and then you are treated. And then for long-term ones, there are some we would recommend rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is rehabilitation centers are very expensive in Kenya.
Very.
That's a challenge. But you could start by seeing the nearest mental health provider, nearest doctor. Dadora, there's Mama Lucy Hospital, it's very near, and they can refer you. There's also Madari Hospital, you can be attended to. And we're having psychologists in Madari Hospital. We're charging a fee of 500 shillings, which is,
affordable.
compared to the private sector, that's quite affordable. And it's a government hospital. If you can't afford it, it's a government hospital. You can always be assisted. So I would advise the person to go to the nearest facility to be assisted, because you, with drug addiction, or if you are dependent on a particular drug, you can't just sort it out at home. You need help. Yes.
So if you say 500, that means 500 to consult the doctor.
For psychotherapy, for counseling, for talk therapy. To sit with a counselor for an hour.
It's 500.
And talk about your issues, as opposed to the private sector where it could even go to 5,000 per hour.
Yeah, even 50.
Yes.
I know the hospitals even pay 40,000
Yes.
to just seek. And you mumeka to 40,000. So in these clinics, like the way you're saying, Mathare and Dadora, does someone just go there and say, oh yeah, I want to see a mental health expert?
Yes, especially Madari Hospital. Many people fear Madari Hospital and they think it's for madness. And madness is when the severe illness we call schizophrenia. That is what people call madness, although we don't like using that word. But we deal with, in Madari Hospital, we deal with all sorts of mental health problems, anxiety, depression, drug abuse, and the services which are not, even a child, we have a child psychiatry clinic for children with autism, for ADHD. So if you go there to the outpatient, you will be assisted. It is open 24 hours. There are doctors 24 hours. So you'll be assisted. If you need further treatment, whatever is not available there, you'll be advised where to get it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a clinic you mentioned,
Methadone clinic. Methadone clinic is when somebody is addicted to heroin use, either smoking or injecting. Then the treatment is most of the time methadone. Methadone is a drug you would take in the morning and you can go to work, as opposed to heroin, which will be out of your system after 4 hours. And you have to go looking for it, and it's an illegal drug, and because it's illegal, it's very expensive.
Yes.
Methadone is provided for free,
okay.
And you can take your drug and go work. Many people fear that you're getting dependent on another drug, but it's safer and it is helpful, better than being engaged in crime to get money to buy heroin. You are arrested. As you inject, you are sharing needles. You could get HIV, you could get
so many other
hepatitis.
things, yeah.
So go to Madari Hospital, the nearest government hospital. Those who can afford private hospitals, go to the nearest private hospital. You'll be able to be linked up for further services.
All right.
Yes.
You've talked about also use of hard drugs, and there's something that's going on right now. We have a very big artist called Bensoul. Bensoul is the king. Let me tell you, that is the king of 420. 420 ni Mavela. In fact, all his songs, he's encouraging Mavela. And he had an interview with one of my colleagues, Jalango, and he said that he wants Kenya to legalize weed. It's about time because other countries have done it. So why not us, Kenya? In fact, he even says it will help us in terms of economical use. We will be able to pay our big debts because marijuana is something that's really, it's sold a lot. What do you think about legalizing weed in a perspective of a doctor? Achana na kuwa Mkenya, just as a doctor.
So I'll start by saying the fact that a substance is legal has nothing to do with health. Let's look at cigarettes, nicotine. Let's look at alcohol. It's legal. But we know alcohol can affect all systems of your body. Alcohol kills. People get liver cirrhosis. We know smoking can lead to lung cancer, and yet they are legal. So legalizing a substance has nothing to do with the health. I agree cannabis is legalized in some other countries, but that does not mean that it's not harmful. We've seen cannabis killing young people's motivation for university, motivation to work, and you're there relaxed, and you don't even feel like going to work. Like you smoke and you don't remember you had a show to come to. So we've seen it kills motivation. In some people it precipitates psychosis, and they get surprised. My friends smoke with me and they are not affected, but I am affected, and there's no way you can tell who will be affected and who will not. So even if it's legal, it doesn't mean it's safe. And if you smoke weed when you are before 18 years, chances of you getting addicted are very high, and chances of you getting complications are very high. So whether it's legalized or not, it is not healthy. And I would encourage young people to stay away from it. I always tell people, even if you gave me how much money to smoke it, I wouldn't do it because I've seen what it does to people. So please stay out of it, even if it was to become legal. Legalizing things is political, even in the West. The countries where it has been legalized is political and looking at the business without looking at the health impacts. Yes.
All right, that's a very good. Umejibu vizuri sana. Very well. In fact, I clap for you. Bensoul, I hope you have heard that. But I think it's very important for people to understand that because people really fight for it. Even we have MPs. There's an MP, I'm just forgetting his name. He's Masai. He's always very vocal about
Ledama.
Yeah, he's very vocal about legalizing it, but what are the repercussions of making it legal? All right, we have a question here, and then I ask you mine now. Why do women tend to inflict hapana. Hii kweli mnatuwekelea bwana. Haya. Why do women tend to inflict mental torture through kids, especially to men? Also, why does everything she knows a man dislikes, looking for a reason to blame on? Everything she knows
a man dislikes. So she does everything.
Oh, inasoma kizungu. Also, she does everything she knows a man dislikes. Oh, looking for a reason to blame on. Okay, this is mostly for single mothers who you don't want. I think that's what she means. They try and use the child to bring stress to the man.
Father.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Co-parenting is a new thing in Africa and in Kenya, where people do not know that if you have a child together and you're not married or you're not living together, you can co-parent without necessarily fighting.
Yeah.
Because if you fight, the child will be affected. But I dispute the fact that it's only women who will use children to torture men. So, of course, there are some women who have done it, but there are also men who have done it. Like they would come and they spoil the child with money and gifts. Then the mother, if she's not able to match, then
It's a problem.
mom is mean and probably she earns less. So it's not necessarily that it's the women who would do such, but every parent needs to know that you should do whatever is in the best interest of the child.
Yes.
So even if you have issues with the father or the mother, remember that this is the child's father, this is the child's mother. Even if you have disagreements, they should be between you, not involve the child. And the second question is why women would do things like to provoke. So again, I think that's still a generalization, but in any relationship, it needs to be cordial.
Yeah.
So there's give and take. So I would say if you're married or if you're co-parenting, you need to see things from the other person's point of view. You need to give in and take for the relationship to work.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right, there's one last question from one of our, all right, Niaje, how can I overcome sex addiction together with porn? Which this I think needs to be discussed.
Yes,
also,
it needs to.
It's something that we've had people are using, they're going to an extent of even using pills to enlarge
That's the word.
Charge system na power bank, you know, like it's a discussion because there was a case of someone who died because of overdosing on Viagra, and I'm like, oh, is it that much stress? And they are young people, 22, 23, why do you need that?
You don't need it.
Yeah, so how can you advise people who are going through this?
I think the question was basically more on sex addiction and porn.
Yes.
And porn becomes a problem where the only gratification you can get is through pornography. And then if you get married or you have a spouse, then you cannot engage in normal sexual interaction. So sexual addiction, again, too much of everything is not good. Even too much of music, if I just sit and 24/7,
yeah, sure.
All I do is music. I know he's playing music, but he's working.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
earning
sure.
from it.
And after this, he will not listen when he goes home.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yes. So too much of everything is harmful, even too much of food. Again, sex addiction. So when you find that you spend all your time in one particular thing and you have no time to reach your potential or to help the community, because we are all born to be able to help the community, to be able to reach your potential. So if you put your time in one particular thing and as opposed to the other things, then that is a problem. So pornography, you need to stop it and before it becomes an addiction, because we've had cases of where people come to consult because even in the office they have to go to hide in the toilet.
Yes.
Because and then come, so it becomes a problem. And sometimes even their supervisors or their bosses have found pornography on their computers because they have been hiding it, but it is too much, you end up leaving it there and your bosses find it. So I think you should control everything before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So everything, okay. I don't know. So that does it mean it's okay to watch it just kidogo? Just don't overdo it.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, because then young people will be thinking the doctor has okayed it. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say avoid it, but it is very dangerous. You can, addictions are also in behaviors. Yes. Behaviors can be addictive. So when it becomes an addiction, then it becomes a problem. Yes. Okay,
very interesting. Now for me, I have the last two because I know you want to leave. But now that we're in the topic of sex and relationships, there's a video, like I was telling you, I saw of a young girl, a couple, a girl and a boy, and these guys were fighting, serious fighting, to a point the guy is stepping on her face, and he's reversing the car to hit her. It's very physical, and I'm wondering why. Then the thing is, you could hear the background, the askaris are saying, isi mara kwanza, wanashindanga hivi, wanakuanga hivi. And my question was, what would make you stay in a place where you're constantly being beaten, physical fights, and you're constantly staying there? So how would you advise someone who's going through the same, or what would be your advice, especially to young people getting into relationships?
I think sometimes you tend to behave from the examples you grew up with.
Okay.
So probably you found your parents fighting and you think that's normal life, and subconsciously you get attracted to a person who treats you in the same way you saw your either mom or dad being treated. But it's so toxic, and somebody needs to tell this person, stop, this is toxic, you need to leave. Because the next time you will be seeing it on the news that somebody has killed another one. Exactly. And that's very bad. So there's no, violence is not acceptable. So if you're in a relationship where there's violence, you need to stop. And I think even if it's a Christian marriage, you'll be allowed to leave, because we do not want to be burying people and to be seeing headlines of people who have killed each other. So please, you need help, and sometimes you might not realize it until somebody points it out, because you grew up seeing it and you think that's the normal. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think the thing is people need to talk more about it. Tell someone it's not normal for you to be beaten. Because it's interesting how anachapwa leo, kesho anarudi, and they're in love. And you'd look at them and say, oh, ni wale wa chapana jana. It's very weird. I find that very weird. But as you've heard from the doctor, please, you need to leave. It's not normal. Fighting violence, it's not normal. And finally, now, because as I told you when you came in, my show is about celebrities, basically. And first up, ni celeb mkubwa sana.
I'm a witness. Yes.
You're a
I
witness.
appreciate.
So, something we're talking about is how young people these days, because you don't have to be on TV to be famous. People have gotten the hang of social media. So we have very many young comedians, 18, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, who are becoming famous out of creating content that is on social media. They create content, they became famous, you blow up, and organizations are looking for you. They want you to work with them. They want you to sponsor them, to sponsor you with their content, with their brands. So you become a brand ambassador and you earn money. Being a brand ambassador is a lot of money. And you see, you're not prepared. You're young, you're 16, 17, 18. You get all this coming up and then you lose it. Either you start indulging in a lot of drugs because you need some stability and you feel like alcohol will give me stability. So I think parting shot would be, what is your advice to young people who are getting into this industry of entertainment and fame, very young, who don't know how to control this?
Yes.
And also, also including the fact that there's a lot of cyberbullying.
Yes, yes, yes. I have seen it a lot in musicians and in celebrities. The pressure to keep being wanted and being celebrated can be very strenuous. And that's why you've seen even international celebrities dying from addiction, because you have to perform and you keep yourself awake abnormally. So you keep asking for drugs to be awake, to be able to be entertaining, and it can even lead to death. But also when you give a young person money or fame and they have no manager to help them understand this is what it takes. Just like athletes, you see somebody runs and they earn so much money, but they do not have a good manager to help them plan for the money and also to plan and about the fame, how to handle it. That sometimes you have to have your own time and be real and be comfortable with yourself, that you do not have to be everywhere being celebrated every day. So it's stressful and they need to go through, I think they also need some counseling. You know, people think that you get counseling when you have broken down, when you are depressed, but you also need to talk about issues. This is what I'm going through. I'm excited, I'm expected to perform in this show, I'm supposed to be entertaining. Can you help me figure out this? So they need to go for therapy even before they break down, because of course you can afford it because I've seen people break down, they get into drugs, and before they know it, now they are dealing with an addiction. Yes.
This is very interesting. I think many young celebrities need to learn this because we have seen it. I'm not lying. I have colleagues who have gone through that serious trauma because fame has come, money has come. You don't know what to do. When money comes, people come. Especially the men usually say, when you're a man, when money comes, women come, alcohol comes. So it confuses them and it brings them a lot of, trauma, as you'd say.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Catherine, thank you very, very much. It has been such an insightful show. The last, we've actually not done this on Friday.
I've enjoyed the show.
Thank you so much for all the insights you've given us. Thank you very much. And we will come back again. Maybe I'm telling you, come back. As I've told you, I have an interest in psychology. So I'll be telling Kila, hey, Checky, tumulete, please bring Dr. Catherine back. And I think parting shot, you just tell people your parting shot as you give us your social media platforms and how people can find you if they need any help.
So thank you very much, and you can reach out through our social media, our Twitter handles at Siengo mUTISYA, at Nai Parenting, at Nairobi Mental Health Services. We are based at KMS Center, but for those who cannot afford private hospitals, I've said you can get help through any government hospital, and for severe issues, you can go to Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital. Yes.
And the social media platforms, you've said them.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Nairobi Mental Health Parenting, and Nairobi Mental Health Services, Nairobi Parenting Clinic.
All right, that's very nice. And you're open to DMs, of course.
Yes, direct messaging. Yes. Yes.
All right, guys, it's been such an amazing show. Thank you very much for your questions. Okay, not that I'm leaving. Relax, yeah? It's been an amazing show with Dr. Catherine, who's given us so much insight. Remember, if you still have questions, do send them in. Of course, we will send them to her, and she can answer. But you can also send them to her using her social media platforms in case you want anonymity. That's the word.
Sure.
Yeah, and she got you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, Dr. Catherine. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And shout out to your husband for coming through for you, man. Shout out, man.
Thank you very much for watching, and keep safe.
Yes. All right, guys, let's take a musical break. We'll be right back. Fester and I.